starburst, but it was also its own color, so it just kind of added a little bit of a hue shift because it's not that same orangey yellow, it's a little bit more of like a bright daffodil yellow. Moving on to this Winsor & Newton brush marker. I believe it's actually the color gold, but shh. It's definitely the orangiest of the yellows that I use in this drawing. I used this to darken up the lower half of the starburst. I liked that it had a different hue to it, which probably means it doesn't belong in this drawing, but you know, it's very red and I like that. I didn't use this that much, so it felt like a cop-out, so then I just started like speckling little dots at the bottom half of this to add some kind of like texture, so it's not just a bunch of straight lines of starburst, but there's like, you know, something there. Next up are these two Sharpies. I have an extra fine and a fine point, and honestly, these don't really stack up next to the other art supplies that I use. You honestly can't even see that I used them, but here's proof that I did. Alright, now let's move on to the next one. Which were these two pencils, the Derwent Ink Tints in the color Sun Yellow and a Goldfaber Aqua. These are both watercolor pencils. They have a slightly different hue, but I kind of use them the same way. I would sketch sort of close to the two characters and then use water to bring that color away from them and kind of create a gradient behind them. And this added a little bit of atmosphere. It's very subtle, but you know, it's there. These are my final two St. Petersburg White Nights watercolors. The light one is Cadmium Yellow and the darker one is Cadmium Yellow Medium. I used the Cadmium Lemon to lighten up the dark sections of the starburst that were near the character. Again, I feel like this is just adding some atmosphere and making them look like they're standing in front of the starburst instead of like being engulfed by it. And with the darker Cadmium Yellow, I just added some more stripes to the starburst. Hashtag cop out. So this is the core watercolor. It's in the color Nickel Azo Yellow, and this thing was a lifesaver. So basically when you take it out of the tube, it kind of looks like a little poop, and you can see it right there in my palette. But then when you add water, it becomes this like really bright, almost gold yellow, and it's really, really pretty. But I didn't want that. I wanted that poop color, right? So first I used a larger brush, and I used this to darken up the areas of the drawing that I wanted to be darker, like the hair. I thought that would just be cool to like really push that it's father and child and have them have the same color and have it a little bit different than like, you know, the rest of the drawing. It's a little bit different. So yeah, used that poop color for that. But then I had an idea. Now that there was like contrast between the hair and everything else, I felt like, ooh, now it's like parts of the face look like they're blending in with the rest of the face and it's not very obvious and there's no contrast there. So I took a tiny itty bitty little brush and I used this to try and actually draw in the details with it. Now, I am not the best with a brush. Brush pens have never been my best friend. I have a shaky hand and I just don't understand how much pressure they require. But I decided to try it anyway. And they're very shaky lines, like they're not fantastic, but I think I'm improving. Like this is not bad, okay? Like just don't look too close, but I control the camera and I'm not gonna show you that close. So it's gonna look good. But boom, look at the difference, man. Now there's like contrast there. It's not all one flat tone, you know? This is the Faber-Castell Polychromos colored pencil. I have no idea how to use these things. I think they're fancy. This is in the color Stroglub Cream. I just googled it. Apparently that's pronounced Strogeb. 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 I should be able to say this. I have German blood. Strogeb. Whatever, one of those has to be right. Alright. Anyway, it means straw yellow, so there's your fun fact for the day. Anyway, moving on. This is the Staedtler Tri-Plus Fine Liner. I was hoping this would be a little bit darker, but it really wasn't. So this is another one of those art supplies that I used it, but you probably can't tell that I did. But I have physical proof that, yeah, look, I'm using it, but... Yeah, that was about it. Now these last two art supplies were both art supplies that I was kind of looking forward to using because I thought they'd actually make a difference. Anyway, this is the Whole Bean Gouache. It's just in the color Lemon Yellow. Now, cool thing about gouache is they're very opaque, kind of like acrylic paints, but they work like watercolors. And this one is just such a bright, happy lemon color. So I used this and tried to layer over top of things that were darker than it to try and give some like brightness and contrast to those areas. I also used it for like little details on the shoes. And to add even more texture to that background, I added some more shapes. So here I'm adding some bigger circles, like lower on the bottom I added little like polka dots. And then here at the top, I'm actually using big circular dot shapes. And this is just, you know, breaking up that starburst pattern. making it a little bit more intriguing. Now the final art supply that I'm using is this, I believe it's a Kuretake yellow gold watercolor. Now the cool thing about this is if you let water sit on it, it becomes kind of pasty and almost opaque. And it's also so glittery and shiny, very metallic and pearlescent. So this is really good for like accents. So I use this to make the dad's hat shiny gold, because he's worked his whole life and contributed to Medicare and paid his taxes, and he's earned a solid gold ball cap. I don't know. Does there have to be a reason? I just wanted to make like certain areas shiny, and the hat I thought would be a cool thing to be shiny. I also painted over the watch, so the metallic bits of the watch, so that those would be shiny as well. And then since I couldn't think of any other places on the character to make gold, I decided to color in the lower half of the background all in this shiny gold, but like I tried to dilute it a little bit so it wasn't super dark, but I just wanted it to have that like sheen. So I filled in the bottom half of the background with that. That way there's contrast between it and the character. So the character's not shiny and then the background is shiny. And then I also added some like circles up at the top to add some like shiny bits up there too. And after that, it looked like this. Look at that shininess. It's like, how do you stop tilting it back and forth? It's just so satisfying. And the last thing I did before finishing off the drawing was take that dark Ohu marker and go over the lines again, because after using like Copic markers and other things on top of it, they'd kind of like blended out and become less sharp, and I just wanted to sharpen those up. And I also like wanted to redo the arm hair for Daddy-O there. And then it looked like this. This is the finished illustration. I hope it just screams and explodes joy all over you, because that's what the color yellow says to me. Probably could have gone a little crazier with the facial expressions, but I also wanted it to feel just happy. Like you're not laughing hysterically, you're just happy. These are all the art supplies that are yellow that I own. I actually went through a little bit of a purge and I still have this many. I need to do purge part 2. That's it. That's my drawing. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me on this journey where I used every single yellow art supply that I own. I'm slowly working my way through the rainbow. We'll get there. What color should I do next? Oh shoot, wait, I forgot to sign this. Let me do that real quick. So here it is. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys all next week, and I hope you have a delicious evening full of waffles. Bye!